Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons & Dragons 1983, Dungeons & Dragons cartoon, and Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, and what Gary Gygax thought of how valuable our time on Earth is compared to how valuable our time on Faerun is. All right, so this is a really kind of deep subject. So, before I go any further, let me point you to the Dungeons & Dragons 1983 cartoon content that is now on Twitch. So right now you can go to the Dungeons & Dragons official channel on Twitch, and you can watch all of the Dungeons & Dragons 1983 cartoon episodes for free. And this is no small thing because they don't stream free anywhere right now legally, right? So definitely check it out. I've been having a blast watching them. So I've been watching them, and you have these D&D heroes. They were actually real Dungeons and Dragons, and it actually gives idea that they were players, because when they see the Dungeons and Dragons roller coaster, they're like, Dungeons and Dragons, let's go, right? So if they weren't players, they wouldn't know it, So it really seems like this is a Dungeons and Dragons group who is isekai'd. They come from IRL world, Earth, and they go into D&D world, Faerun, and they're trapped there, right? So it's Bobby the Barbarian, and it's Hank the Cavalier, and Eric the Ranger, and Diana the Acrobat, and Sheila the Thief, and I think that, and Uni, of course, Uni, right? And I think that's and Presto the Magician, right? So these people, they get isekai'd, and they go from IRL Earth to D&D Faerun, right? So what's interesting is Dungeon Master shows up right away and starts squawking at them, and is like, oh, go do this quest. Dungeon Master is a quest giver. And there's this point where they're frustrated because they can't get back to their real world, right? And so they say to Dungeon Master, they're like, so I think it's Hank, is like, Dungeon Master, we're going to be trapped here forever, man. This is really bad. I don't like this. Like, we want to go back to our real. We want to leave D&D Faerun, and we want to go back to IRL Earth, right? And Dungeon Master says, don't worry. He says to the whole party, don't worry. You'll be able to return to your world when you are worthy. And I was like, wait, what? Like, that is incredible. That is an incredible statement, right? So you're kind of like, wait, they're going to go back when they're worthy, right? So that means that Dungeon Master was saying that they were only worthy to be trapped in Faerun, and they weren't worthy to go back to IRL Earth. That's an incredible statement. That is an absolutely amazing, incredible statement. I'm like, what? Like, what did he just say? Or like, it is amazing. Like, it just like, you're like, that's an incredible statement, right? What on earth does that mean, right? Well, first of all, realize Gary Gygax was literally in Hollywood while this was being made. He was there. He was a producer on this stuff. They used Toei Animation, which, like, if I gave you a list of all the stuff Toei Animation animated, you'd be astounded. You would be absolutely amazed how much stuff went through that house, right? This was real deal material, right? Like, incredibly important Saturday morning American cartoon height. D&D was at the height of a Saturday morning American cartoons, right? Which is a dead thing now. It doesn't even exist, right? So this is really a big deal. And so I was like, what does this mean? And here's the reality is, let's take just bog standard D&D players, all right? And let's say that the bog standard D&D player is an American who is 30 years old, right? Well, you're going to spend 40 to 50 hours a week just doing your job. Then you're going to, half your weeknights are going to be taken just doing, adulting, like paying your bills and washing your clothes and putting food in your pie hole, right? And keeping your body healthy. Then you got 2 weeknights and you got 2 weekends, right? You are probably only going to squeeze 12 to 22 hours of free time when the week's done. Well, in the 80s, when this was on, people were spending 4 to 12 hours a week playing D&D. And actually, I think there are quite a few people who are still spending 4 to 12 hours a week playing Dungeons & Dragons. So the question became, where is your time valuable, right? Where should you be spending your time? This is a very real question for Gary Gygax, and it's a very real question for D&D 5e Dungeon Masters and D&D players today, right? Which is more valuable, your IRL time or your Faerun time, right? And this was Gary Gygax saying very clearly, your IRL world is the most important. Now, why would it matter that he said that? Well, it does matter, right? Because we need reminders, and we need that reminder coming from the top, right? And saying, hey, this is real, man. Make sure you're spending time in Faerun, but do not ever think that it is more worthy of your time than the IRL world, right? So even though, we could get a 20th level Cavalier who has, a Holy Avenger sword, it's better to build friendships, build loving relationships with spouses, consider having children. And that's what Gary Gygax was saying, which is an astounding statement, truly astounding statement, right? And it was a very real question back then, and it's a very real question now. So as much as I love D&D, I had to see very clearly that here, Gary Gygax was saying, don't get it twisted, man. This IRL Earth is more valuable than D&D Faerun. And I think it's important for us to understand this and realize it. All that is my opinion. I would love to hear your thoughts on the matter. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium. And don't forget to go check out that awesome content over on Twitch, the Dungeons & Dragons episodes. You're going to love them. It's there. It's free. It's really fun. All that's my opinion. I'd love to hear what you think. Let me know. Take care.